Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So I am filming very late at night because I have had a very intense week, so forgive me if I am a little bit disheveled. I'm gonna first use my D'Alba setting spray. My skin is very dry right now, and it's also a mess because I have probably cumulatively gotten in the past 48 hours, I probably only slept maybe 3 to 4 hours. It's because I had a baby kitten and unfortunately he could not be saved. That's just how it goes sometimes. They are notoriously fragile. At this point it'll have been maybe 13 hours ago that he passed away. I'm going to use my Skin Caring Glow foundation. I lowered the ISO just a little bit because I felt like it was just, I've been so washed out for the past few videos. And I'm going to use the Ultra Creamy Shape Tape, just a tiny dab, because my under eyes are dry. I forgot to use primer and I forgot to use color correction, whatever. As you can tell, I have the little gift with purchase minis, the deluxe sample and the sample. Reason being, I could never go through even a fraction of a full-size Shape Tape tube because I use so little of this as is. Aren't I not the cutest though? Like, literal do not talk to me or my son ever again. Like, these guys are cute. So this is the shade 16N. I've noticed the Ultra Creamy Shape Tape runs a lot lighter than the Shape Tape. So I have the Shape Tape in 12N, but I have this in 16N, and they are functionally the same shade. This is a little bit more neutral, but it's crazy how light the Ultra Creamy range runs, because I actually used to have a full-size version of the Ultra Creamy, but I had it in the same in 12N. This was back when it was like half off or something, and 12N, oh my goodness, it was such a terrible shade match for me, which is why I sold it, and I eventually re-shade matched myself, and I realized just how light this range runs. And I'm just going to tap it out using my finger. I am not going to go for full coverage under eyes today because my under eyes are too dry. Thankfully, the Shape Tape line from Tarte does have really high coverage even if you just use a little bit, so even with just this little bit used, you can definitely see when I look down there is some discoloration, which is why I'm supposed to use color corrector, but it's already pretty well covered. I'm going to do the rest of the coverage using powder foundation. So I'm going to use my Urban Decay Stay Naked powder foundation, which I think is being discontinued, which is an absolute crime. That's what makeup companies love to do, is they take whatever people like and then they discontinue it, or they reformulate it to make it worse. And I'm just going to use this, and I'm really going to focus this on the inner part of my under eyes dark circles where all that discoloration is. So as you can see, it is so crusty, but I love this thing. I do have a backup of it, thankfully, so I'm in the clear for quite a while, but I was like, why is all of my favorite stuff being discontinued? And then I'm just going to blend it out gently using a brush. This is not the ideal brush shape for this. I'm just grabbing it because it's the first thing I grabbed. I also do need to wash a lot of my brushes. Okay, so you can see the powder foundation now has gotten rid of a ton of the discoloration. My tear groove is not fully concealed, but I am not going to subject my skin to that today, but from the front you can see just how smooth out my under eyes look. I was thinking of doing like little like flowers on the outside of my lash line. I don't know, I was just thinking, especially because of the fact that like whenever just like flowers just seem especially appropriate when thinking about my little kitten. I don't know, just something about thinking about him made me think about wanting to draw some little flowers out here. But I'm gonna start off with doing my eyebrows first. So I'm going to put on a little bit of the Rare Beauty eye primer, and then I'm gonna do my eyebrows, and I'll just think about the makeup one step at a time. So this look is probably going to be kind of disorganized. So I'm just using the Too Faced brow detailer thingy. Disclaimer alert, but I'm not expecting my makeup to look really all that great tonight, and so just give me some grace if my makeup turns out looking super rough. And then I'm going to use the brow flick, which is my eyebrows just don't feel complete without it. As you can probably tell, I generally speaking prefer to keep my wrist rigid and I move my entire forearm. This is also how I draw, is I don't really move my wrist very much. I prefer to move my whole arm. I've noticed that can help with stabilizing my lines both when I'm drawing and when I'm doing my brow flick. There is a very small Half Magic Beauty section in my local nearest Ulta, and when I saw the section, I just had to basically swatch the entire stand. Kind of bummed that the glitter puck in the more neutral champagne white silver shade is not at Ulta. The pink one is, and I do want it. I really wanted the neutral one more, but they did have the two singles that I have been wanting ever since I saw Lauren May Beauty talk about them, and that would be Lil Deranged, I just threw the box at myself, and Wet Pebble. And just overall, definitely have been really interested in them, but these two shadows, I was like, if I'm gonna try anything from Half Magic Beauty, it has to be these two shades. I can't necessarily say I'm a fan of the packaging, but of course I can appreciate when a brand wants to go for more sustainable packaging, less plastic. I can appreciate that. So here is the shade Lil Deranged, and I'm definitely gonna have to pop these out because these are not going to be compacts. I can just keep them in. And this is the shade Wet Pebble, and these are beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead actually and gently see if I can pop these out. Can I? So there's a little bit of glue, and actually the label covers it, but there is a pinhole in the back you're supposed to use, but I just, because it's malleable, I pushed it as if pushing a pill out of like a pill case thing. I was like, you push the pill out is what I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. I'm just gonna go ahead and put them into some kind of magnetic palette. The glue does peel off very easily, which I appreciate, so no residue. Okay, so this palette is the one that I keep all of my Cliona shades in, and I actually, this shade right here, it's not labeled. I legit don't know what shade this is because there's no labeling on the back, which kind of irritates me, so I don't know what shade that is, but I'm gonna go ahead and put these in here. This is the one palette I have where there's room. I have a couple of empty magnetic palettes at this point, one of which has Terra Moons, who I will never use on my channel ever again, or buy from ever again. I'm going to put these in here because I'm totally fine showing off my Cliona collection, which I'd love to expand on someday. But so I'm going to go ahead and take green one, which at this point, because the shades are on the bottom, I don't know which one is which, but I'm just going to take the green one. I'm going to use both of them. When I opened the packaging, they kind of had the impressions of the text and the packaging on the pan. Like I could see a little little indentations. So they do definitely have a softer, more creamy consistency, which I think is fine. I do like myself a nice, smooth, creamy shimmer. And I'm just using very light layers right now since I don't want to build this up too much, so don't take this as a full spectrum of what this shadow can do. I'm using it very lightly, so it's not like this is a bad shadow. I'm just not using very much of it. It picks up so nicely on this brush. Great, no fallout, not powdery at all. And you can see how there's that dark base to it. As I turn my head, you can see the darkness. So I'm just going to more or less put this all over my eyelid, I think, leaving room in the top for something lighter. I was so happy that Half Magic Beauty decided to sell in Ulta because now that makes the products way more accessible. And initially I thought, oh, it's probably going to be an online only brand, but having that little display meant that I could test the products out, and now I really want to go back and buy more, so I'm really happy about that. And I do love me a good green eyeshadow. So you can see I just put on very, very little, and this is the result so far. It is so pretty. I'm gonna try the other shade now. I think Wet Pebble is the neutral one, and then Lil Deranged is the green one. I'm like 90% sure that's what it is. And I'm going to take this and put it on top. I think they both have a very similar value, especially the base is darker on this one as well. So I don't want to put too much of this one on either, or else it's going to look really weird. So you can see they kind of have a similar value. And you can see as well that there is a darker base as I turn my head, so that's why I'm not bringing it all the way up, because then it would look really strange. And I'm putting on an even more thin sheer layer of this. It is so pretty. Sebi and Melody are playing on the cat tree that's right next to my makeup desk, so that's the noise you're hearing. If I didn't have that cat tree there, they would be dancing on my desk all day long. This is the compromise we have set up. Oh, Matcha joined them. I think one of them just knocked into the tripod. Huh, they got the zoomies. That is such a pretty shade. Again, disclaimer, I'm not using very much, so it looks very sheer because You are not allowed on my desk, and you know that. 4 of my cats are currently having the zoomies and doing some variant of playing tag or wrestling or stalking on each other, and they're deciding to do it right at my makeup desk, which is in character for them. I'm also going to put a little bit of that shade on my lower lash line, and then I'm going to go into the green and put that in the outer corner here. I was thinking I might need a matte shade, but I don't think I'm going to. They are so pretty on their own. And I'm not having any fallout either. It just goes on, like it doesn't feel powdery at all, but it still has such a nice glittery finish. Wet Pebble does anyways. You can definitely tell Wet Pebble is a little bit more sparkly than Lil Deranged, but they both are really, really pretty. And I could totally see if you wanted to use your finger and build it up, you definitely could. I'm just not choosing to for this particular makeup look. Alright, so I'm just going to keep them inside this little magnetic palette. I really want to try using these paints, and I'm going to, I have had this brush waiting in the wings for a while, a Suva Beauty detail liner brush. I'm sure if any of you guys have ever gotten nail art done or done your own nails or watched people do nail art online, which I love watching people do nail art, it's just so satisfying and I love seeing the skills people have, then you will know that these kinds of extra long, and this is not even as long as I've seen brushes get, that you'll know these kinds of longer bristled brushes are designed for giving you the ability to draw really thin, smooth lines. So the length of the bristles effectively acts like a stabilizer. So if anybody's ever drawn in Clip Studio Paint or Paint Tool SAI, you'll know that there is a stabilizing tool that helps to smooth out the wiggles and trembles of your hand. A lot of people will use the stabilizer to some degree. I know About Face sells some, but some people have given them kind of mixed reviews. From what I hear, either getting actual nail art brushes or Suva Beauty kind of make the best ones, which is why I went ahead and got this. I got this off Camera Ready Cosmetics to make free shipping for something else, which is why I have it. And it wasn't even all that expensive on its own anyways, so I'll try this. So I think I want to use this, and then I want to use this. And I didn't get, okay, well I did get a lot of shades, but I didn't get as many as I wanted to, so I got no pinks. I like really had to think to myself, which colors can I get and which colors can I theoretically mix easily. So I did not get any pinks. Instead, I will just mix red and white. But then for the blues, the different varying intensity of the blues are an absolute pain or even sometimes impossible to actually mix. So I'm going to use this blue. Okay, so I zoomed in just a smidge so that you guys can see my eye makeup more clearly. I'm also just going to put on some lip balm because oh my goodness, my lips are so dry. So this is what my eyeshadow is looking like right now. Really pretty. I'm wondering if I should darken the stem a little bit. I'm not so sure. I'm just gonna try using this as is. I have this, I haven't actually opened this yet, but I do have a metal palette that I had gotten with the intent purpose of using it to do graphic looks or maybe even put my foundation on. I did get this like really cheaply from Morphe way back in the day. I just happened to get it from Morphe because it was the cheapest and I wanted to see if I even liked the concept. So I'm gonna take the eye paint in the shade, oh my god, which shade is it? Vertigo Flowers. It's the tiniest font ever. I cannot wait until my astigmatism is fixed. So I'm gonna draw some little stem. My hand is shaking, my hands are shaking so bad right now. And this brush is actually, I should have broken down the bristles are stiff. You're supposed to like break down the bristles, like, you know, soften the brush up a little bit. I should have done that first. So this brush is a little bit stiff, but I should have mixed in some white. Initially I thought I was gonna get like cake liners to do stuff like this with, but I don't know, I just was like intimidated by the concept. Oh my god, this looks terrible. I'm gonna take some white and mix in some white because this is turning darker than I expected. And the white is just called White Noise. We're gonna do this for the first time together. It'll be fun, right? Okay, yeah, see, it looks so much better with the white on top. I definitely do think I need to get thinner brushes in the future because the bristles on these are still a little bit too thick for what I was hoping for. Okay, so I'm drawing leaves, and I know they're only all on one side. That was a terrible leaf. Okay, so these do seem to dry down darker than they are wet, which is a very common thing with actual paints, so honestly, I should have known. And then I think I'm gonna just go ahead and add some green dots just so that it can kind of still work with the look. The way that I'm not really getting a super opaque line is definitely kind of making me feel like I'm working with actual paints on my eye. So I feel like if I wanted that true clean opaque line, a cake liner obviously is going to be the best for that, but I actually kind of like how this makes me feel like I'm just working with actual paints because it makes me feel a lot more comfortable because I'm just, you know, that's what I'm used to working with. It's kind of looking a little bit dry, a little bit crackly. Maybe I put on too much. And then I mixed in even more white here. So I'm gonna go ahead and replicate this on the other eye before I work on the like blossoms, so to speak, just while I still have the colors in front of me. And they are actually staying wet on the mixing palette just because of how much I put down. They're not drying down on the palette as quickly as I had worried that they would. I think in the future an even thinner brush will definitely help my case. Okay, that was a terrible leaf. I think I put it a little bit too high on this eye. Yeah, it's not symmetrical. Oops. Oh well, that happens. I like kind of dragged the stems down. I think that helps. Okay, I'm gonna try and put the dots in the same position though, because that will help. And my hand's shaking really bad, sorry. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere with this. Now I need to figure out how to wipe this color off. I'm gonna use my Sephora Daily Brush Cleaner. Yeah, it looks like just using my Sephora Daily Brush Cleaner is cleaning it just fine, and hopefully it's breaking down the adhesive that was used to keep it stiff when it was shipped to me. I'm going to switch to using the blue. I'm gonna use the blue first, and I am again, because now that I know that these shades kind of are a little bit darker on the dry down, I'm going to mix in some of the white that I still have, and I'm going to start working on these blossoms, which now that I know that these are a little bit trickier to work with this brush than I thought, the blossoms I'm like super scared about, but we'll see. Honestly, these stems look more like cactuses. And I'm gonna draw some floating shapes too, just to kind of make it look like there's more than just the stems I drew. Okay, that could be worse. I feel like I'm learning as we're going. And I'm kind of going over parts of the green that I think went up too high because I drew the stems so high. I kind of like leaving behind the little brush stroke textures, kind of like a rough oil painting. I know it's gonna dry down looking dry and crackly. Not gonna lie, just for the sake of this video, I kind of like the textural look. Somebody needs to invent liquid shadows that can look like the texture of oil paints without cracking off in like half an hour. Although I guess we'll see how these do throughout the course of this video. Applying them this thickly, we'll see if that's like something that can be done. Okay, so not the clean look that I envisioned, but I'm not really like mad at it either, to be honest. It could be worse. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to making a pink. So again, I need to wipe this brush off, this is going to get really old really quickly. And the eye paints do kind of dry on the bristle, but it does wipe off very easily with the Sephora brush cleaner, so that's nice. I am trying to be a little bit delicate because like these brushes, they're so thin that they're easy to like damage by being too rough when cleaning them, so that's why it's taking me so long. Okay, so next I'm going to take just a tiniest dot of Scream of Consciousness, which is the primary red. Literally I need so little to make the little pastel baby pink I want, and then I'm going to use more white. This is not a true, it was marketed as a primary red. I wouldn't necessarily say this is a true primary red because the pink it's making is not the true pink I was going for. It's a little bit warm. Yeah, this is not the right shade of pink. Hold on. I'm not able to create the pink I wanted. It's making me start to realize, I'm like remembering my lessons now where like certain colors are not really mixable, or even in the CMYK space, like a really bright magenta, for example, is functionally impossible to mix, and the pink I'm going for may be one of those. I'm gonna add in a little bit of the red for some shading. Not quite what I was going for, but it looks alright. The other problem is that the pink that I made, it is very close to my skin tone, so it just ends up kind of disappearing. You can see on the neck of the dispenser, this is not going to be a true primary red. It's got a little too much orange in it. So I'm not creating the pink I was going for, I'm creating a salmon. Yeah, do you see how it pretty much blends right into my skin tone? This is really awkward. Yeah, it's like I'm literally just making colors that look functionally identical to my skin tone, so I'm gonna change gears completely. So that was kind of a disaster. My apologies. I was gonna go for a lavender, but the red has too much orange in it. Mixing it with the blue is just gonna make it gray. So I'm just gonna go for I think this is what would you call it? Cornflower blue is I think what people generally call it. And I'm just gonna go for this. And I'll just cover up everything. I'll go over it with a second layer. It's gonna look so weird when it dries because it's gonna be so thick, but whatever. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go back into that turquoise and use it to add a couple more, kind of implied to be like more like distant blooms, I guess. Yeah, I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. So definitely some interesting lessons that I've learned in this little experiment. Could have gone much worse. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and call that done before I ruin it any further. So that is my very interesting experience using these eye paints. I am definitely really bummed that the red did not end up being the primary red I was expecting it to be, because it did not mix how a primary red mixes, which is a bummer, but I think we all know how difficult it is to find that true primary red in powder form, so let alone liquid form. So I think what I may do in the future is, first off, I do definitely need to learn how to use cake liners. I will make that something that whenever I can, I will start practicing, because there are definitely true red cake liners on the market. Otherwise, I think if I ever want to use these kinds of shades on my eyes and get that more painterly effect, and I need a true primary red, I may actually start digging through my liquid lipstick collection, because blue-based reds I think were what I was going for. But this is gonna be my little flowers on my eyes. It could be way, way worse. It looks honestly good, all things considered, and I actually do like how textural and painterly it turned out. I think it's definitely, it's not a surprise that this is what I came up with my first try, as opposed to the clean look I was going for. But I do like it, so I'll go ahead and I'll finish up the eyes. We'll move on. This video is very long. So I put on lashes. These are dope, very Cloud 9, and this is a new pair. I had my other pairs I took off in the bathroom and I never moved them back, and my cats just absolutely destroyed them, which oops. So this is a brand new pair, so if they pop off, then I'm sorry. I actually do need to replace this. I tend to need to replace my duo glue about once every year or so, because it just stops being sticky, it turns liquidy, it separates, it's disgusting. So this needs to go, and I'm gonna have to get a new one. So if things pop off mid-video, it's because my lash glue is done. So I also did put some mascara on my lower lashes, and now that it's dry, I'm gonna go for a second coat. I want my lower lashes to be nice and strong. I do have some patchiness on this eye here. I have a clump of lower lashes that are missing. My lower lashes tend to shed in clumps, and so I'll have bald patches and then I won't. So just ignore that if you see it. I want them to be nice and heavy. I've been using this Air Volume Mega Mascara on my lower lashes. As it's dried out over the course of the past 3 weeks, it's gotten really nice, so I do like that. I don't currently have a green liner. There are some from Victoria Beckham and KVD Beauty I really want to try, but I don't have them currently. However, I think, no, that's not going to work. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't have a true green eyeliner in my collection, because the one I do have from Melt Cosmetics is teal. So I am going to just do the next best thing, I think. I'm going to use this KALEIDOS eyeliner in the shade Limelight. It is a multi-chrome eyeliner, but it does have a darker base. This is pretty much the best thing I've got to get a green liner look. I don't want to use this as eyeliner so close to my monolid, because I feel like my monolid folds are not going to treat this formula very well. That's like my biggest concern with these, is I can't really use these as true eyeliner, because it's going to be right where my eyelids are folding in on themselves, and it's just not going to work for my eye shape. So I do really want to get more eyeliners in other colors. It just hasn't happened yet. So this is a green to blue multi-chrome, so it'll kind of work with the greens and blues on my eyelid. So hopefully it works. If not, I will have to find like an eyeshadow or something. My lash is already popping up. Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. And I just want to do like the tail. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it wasn't what I was going for. Yeah, it's not got the darkness I was hoping for, but I will say it does not look bad by any stretch of the imagination. It does actually add a really cool accent, so I am not mad about it, but it's not what I was hoping for. I actually think this eyeliner might be alright. It's the Shiseido eyeliner in the shade 08 Teal, which I know I just said I don't want to use a teal, but this one is a lot more blue, so it'll just, hopefully I can just use this really close to the lash line. I'm gonna kind of merge it into the multi-chrome eyeliner I just used. That actually looks really cool. Okay, I like where this is headed, and I'm gonna take a little bit on the lower lash line just for some color continuity. Do you see how it just adds a little bit of definition? I prefer doing this over using eyeshadow. If you have the Shiseido microliners, which I don't think they're really going to be available for much longer, do not roll up more than like 1 millimeter at a time because you will break it. That's what that's looking like, and you can see how putting the eyeliner in the outer corner really helps to make my eyes look a lot more round and wide at the outer point. I'm gonna take my brown eyeliner, which I'm gonna be throwing this out soon and replacing it with my new one. So I'm just gonna do the inner corner liner like that. You can definitely tell the eyeliner is starting to kind of be on its last legs. Okay, so I was going to use this as my blush, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna use this. It's a little bit warmer, but I think it'll work. So initially when I first saw these, the marketing was totally, as if you guys have ever watched my videos, the marketing is definitely everything I didn't want, but then I swatched them in store and they actually fixed down to my arm to a completely non-sticky, dried down finish, and I was like, oh. Well, now I'm interested. So I'm going to try and use it and see what happens. Distribute it out a little bit with my finger first. This specific kabuki brush is a little bit on the flimsy side, so it's actually a lot better working with blush than I thought it would be. Now, of course, I swatched it on my bare arm. I did not swatch it on top of foundation, but so far I don't see this lifting my foundation. I really want to get a mirror with better magnification, but I want to invest in a good one. Probably one from Simple Human, and I just don't have the kind of money right now. Okay, so I really liked some of the shades from the range had a lot of shimmer in them, and I don't really like shimmery blush, but this one definitely did not. It's really just like super translucent. You can still see my skin underneath, and it did not take off my foundation. But I definitely could see this being a disaster over powder. It does have a dewier finish, but from my experience it does actually set down. I'm really hoping I can finish this look so I don't have to take a break. I got trigger point injections for my jaw today, and my vagus nerve overreacts to everything. So I know for a fact, because this is my second time getting it done, I know for a fact that whenever I get it done, right after my facial injections are done, I will immediately start having a syncope episode. I will start getting really dizzy and I'll faint. So immediately after that is done, I have to lay down, but it will kind of leave me on edge for the rest of the day, where like it's almost like I'm like my vagus nerve now is like over like sensitive for the rest of the day. So I'm really trying my best to stave it off right now because I want to finish this video before I go lay down. Complete dry down. Like, see, touching my very this is my ring finger. My middle finger I had used to actually tap the product out, but here's my ring finger. See how little transfer? And there's a little bit of pearl to it, but this is one of the more subtle shades. Did I get a new bronzer from 21 Days of Beauty? No, I did not. So I'm just going to use one that I like. I'm gonna go for a neutral option today. Okay, yeah, this will work. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty Bright Side. I just like to rub it onto the brush. This is an amazing formula. I'm gonna use very little, just enough to add some dimension, since obviously, as I've mentioned before, the N80 is too light for me from Givenchy, but I made a mistake when I got the shade. And I mean, the trigger point injections do work because I always feel so much more, my muscles, just the tension, the stiffness, and the soreness definitely goes away afterwards, but the process itself, it's just so unpleasant. I really just have to bear through with it. Oh my god, I'm so hot right now. And I don't like how, like, see the smears around it? If you don't put the lid on exactly right, you'll smear the product around. Okay, I need powder. The center of my face really needs to be brightened up a little bit, so I'm gonna use my Suku powder in lavender. I think it came back in stock for a very short period of time, but then it sold out again. I did pre-order a couple of, not a couple, that is such an exaggeration. I pre-ordered one anniversary item, which is the lavender powder. To nobody's surprise, I did pre-order that. It's on its way to me. I really could not resist, which is why I couldn't buy like anything else makeup wise, because Suku just of course devoured my budget. And to make free shipping, I did order a couple other things that were not anniversary that I've been wanting to try for quite some time. So I will do a video talking about those when they arrive. Although last I checked, the lavender powder sold out really fast, so I don't know how useful it'll be, but I do want to make a video talking about the like 5 things from Suku that I will have. Nowhere near enough for a full face, but I do want to talk about them. They are so expensive, but at the same time I feel like they deserve a little bit more love because they genuinely do make some absolutely solid bangers. So I used that powder, and I don't ever use that on the perimeter of my face because of the fact that it's lavender. So for the outer part of my face, I'm going to go ahead and use, just because I grabbed it first and I'm too lazy to find something else, I'm going to use my Say powder. My face got so sweaty because I'm so hot right now. So I definitely need to set things down. I think the feeling is starting to pass, but I am still gonna go ahead and lay down, and I'm gonna make myself a cup of juice after I'm done filming. Okay, the only thing I hate about this is that you have to really get it lined up or else it doesn't screw on. You know what I mean? There we go. I think this might actually work. This highlighter I think might work. And I know it was marketed as having 3 different colors. It really doesn't. So it reminds me the most of Golden Mint from Becca, but it is, I think, better than Golden Mint. Either that or my Becca highlighters are just getting old, or I just used to not know that there were better highlighters out there, and Becca used to be like the gold standard and now they're not. But I'm gonna go ahead and use my finger. This highlighter is pretty. It is pretty. I do like it more than Golden Mint from Becca for sure, but it's also extremely expensive, and I don't recommend anybody pay full price for this at all. I paid full price for this and Mini Pastel because I wanted to review it for my YouTube channel for the views. Like, I was gonna get Mini Pastel anyways, and then I threw in the highlighter as well because A, free shipping, and B, oh, I can get it up quickly, I'll get YouTube views. I did not get it up quickly, and I did not get YouTube views, so I learned that was a very good lesson for me to learn early on. Do not rat race my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is here for me to have fun and talk about makeup and share monolid makeup stuff. It is not here to try and compete with anybody. I'm just gonna do my own thing. Honestly, I'm glad I made that mistake with something that didn't completely break my wallet, and I will not repeat that mistake again. But anyways, I do like this product, but I do not think anybody should be paying full price for this, like, at all. So if it ever goes on sale, I would recommend it, but because it is legit pretty. It's just not, this was I think over $40, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's so cute and it is really pretty. It is just so soft and golden. It does work. I can get away with it on my nose to some extent, and that is what things are looking like. I kept the face nice and soft because the eyes are where it's at, and the lip balm has really helped revitalize my lips because I have forgotten to wear a lip mask for the past 48 hours because I've not really been sleeping consistently. I'm just gonna blot some of that off. I wanted to do a matte lipstick, but I wonder if a glossy one might match the flower, like vitality and life, glossy. I'll do matte first, and if I want to, I'll put a glossy lip on top. How about that? I am continuing to use and enjoy and test out the Romand lip liner in Dovey Pink. I really like how this lip liner can really cancel out my hyperpigmentation. Yeah, I'm going to use the shade 21. Now, I actually am not a super big fan of the new Ink Airy Velvet formula. It's so slippy, but the packaging is so cute and the shades are really pretty, so I do have a couple, and if I had the money and space, I probably would collect them just because they're so cute. And they're also nostalgic because the OG version of this product used to be like the it product. This was the product if you wanted K-beauty lip products. Like, it was Peri Para Ink Airy Velvet, and the old formula was like a true dry matte, stained the heck out of your lips. I don't have it anymore, but thinking about it brings back memories. So this is a very nostalgic product for me. I used to have the Ready Orange one. That was the one I had. So yeah, I find the current formula, it's not super opaque. It's kind of it's slippery. It does transfer. It doesn't really last as long. So it is very comfortable, but it's just, it doesn't have the adhesion of this product is much worse than Romand and other products that I've used. That's my problem. But these are incredibly cheap. There are so many colors at this point. The packaging is adorable, so if you're gonna get them, I mean, you're not gonna hate them, but I think there are definitely better. Yeah, I think matte is good actually. This is a little bit too desaturated and ashy, so I am going to use the shade 24 on the center of my lips. This is a little bit more warm and vibrant, so it might clash a little bit, but I think just a little bit more, just right in the center. And I also do find that this is not as blurring as other blurring matte lip tints on the market anymore. You can still see my lines, but again, colors, packaging, nostalgia, what can I say? And also accessibility. Peri Para is very readily accessible on Amazon and regularly goes on sale, especially during Prime Day, and then it's just the cheapest option. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this very long video here. I hope you guys had fun watching me just play with some makeup. Let me know your thoughts, or if you have any application tips or brush recommendations, whatever, for these more artistic looks, definitely let me know, because I was hoping it would be this year, but maybe in 2024 will be the year I finally dive into these more artistic graphic looks. So we'll see. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I do apologize for this video being so messy. I am slowly losing coherence and I need to go to bed. So with that, I'm gonna sign off and I will hopefully catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.